Duke the jeweler the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot.
Boosie just lit a match and threw it straight at J. Prince Jr. And it's causing a wildfire. He's finally breaking his silence about the Duke the jeweler situation. And this time, he's pointing fingers directly at mob ties. For years, people said Boozie set Duke up, like he was the mastermind behind it all. The streets claimed he lined him up, and the whispers never stopped. But now Boozie's clapping back hard, calling out names and flipping the script on everybody. And J. Prince Sr.? Oh, he ain't staying quiet either. He's firing back with force. Here's the backstory that got everyone shook. Back in November 2022, 29-year-old Duke the jeweler was shot dead in what was called a robbery. It happened right after he left Boozie's concert in Houston. The whole thing went viral. Folks instantly started pointing at Boozie, saying he either called the hit or knew who did. But what made it worse? The rumor that the two dudes who ambushed Duke weren't just strangers, they were allegedly family connected to Boozie. The internet ran wild with that theory, and Boozie, he kept quiet.
Man, Lord.
Until now. But here's the twist. The streets are switching sides. Now everybody's giving a long, hard look at J. Prince Jr., the son of the man they call the godfather of Houston's hip-hop game. While Boozie got dragged through the mud, J. Prince Jr. stayed cool, hidden, untouched. But folks are starting to say that's exactly how he wanted it. The way things played out, it's looking less like chaos and more like a setup. The truth? Boozie might have never been the boss, just the fall guy, allegedly. Why's Boozie clapping back so hard now? Simple. Because he was there. He performed that night. Word is, he even invited Duke the jeweler to the show. And then the streets started buzzing. Duke's Louis Vuitton bag was allegedly found inside Boozie's crib. But hold up, none of that proves motive. It just shows Boozie was around, not involved. And that's exactly why he was the perfect fall guy. See, they always pick someone who's already knee-deep in legal mess, and Boozie, he had history. Gun charges, the infamous Terry Boyd trial, and his name still pops up in cases he beat years ago. So when Duke got killed, folks didn't need evidence. They already made up their minds. The streets had their villain, and the media ran with it. All they needed was a juicy story to make it stick. But now?
Duke the jeweler the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot.
Boozie's breaking the silence for real. He's dropping names, putting J. Prince Jr. on blast, saying straight up, "Y'all tried to line me up." According to Boozie, he barely even knew Duke like that. He met him one time, at a dice game. That's it. The next day, Duke pops up at Boozie's concert, alone. Hours later, he's found dead in a parking lot. That don't sound like random violence, that sounds orchestrated. Boozie's calling it loud. This was a setup, and now the streets are finally listening. 'Cause Duke didn't get taken out in Boozie's hometown of Baton Rouge. He got hit in Houston, and Boozie don't run Houston. But you know who does? J. Prince Jr. Now even Houston locals are jumping online, saying loud and clear, Boozie didn't do this. Folks from the city are backing him heavy. One user posted, "If you from Houston town, you know what happened? Boozie had nothing to do with it at all." Another said it even louder. "Why would Boozie set up a robbery in a city he don't even run? That would be wild and straight up disrespectful." People are fed up with the internet throwing out wild accusations with zero proof. And others? They're done being subtle. They're aiming straight at J. Prince Jr. One user wrote, Boozie did not have anything to do with that man's death. Look at J. Prince Jr., and here's where it gets even messier. Guess who else was sitting at that dice table the night Duke was seen alive? Yup, J. Prince Jr. again. He's the same guy who's allegedly been controlling Houston's whole check-in culture like a boss. Word in the industry is, if you're an artist, influencer, or rapper pulling up to H-Town, you don't move without getting that green light from the Prince family. But Duke, he did check in and still ended up dead. That don't sound like protection, that sounds predatory. And it ain't just Duke, let's not forget. Takeoff checked in too, and he got lined up. Allegedly, Big U's been pulling the same game out west, making artists check in just to make sure they don't get hit. But the rumors say some still get touched anyway. Even names like PNB Rock got mentioned. He allegedly checked in and still got lined up.
Everybody be checking in. That's your favorite thing to do. Check in with somebody that's gonna rob your stupid ass.
Wow.
Yo, you think that guy, the guy that you don't know in California got your back?
Schoolboy Q once said it best. Rappers getting robbed by the same folks they check in with. This ain't safety. It's extortion dressed up as security. The Duke the Jeweler case? It's been screaming suspicious from the jump, and now the internet is wide awake. That dice game, it wasn't just shady, it turned deadly. And Boozie, he was never the one in control. He was the bait. Then things got even wilder when Whack 100 stepped in. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered. Whack didn't sugarcoat a thing. He said it plain. That dice game was a setup. According to him, Duke wasn't robbed. He was lined up. And who does Whack point the finger at? J. Prince Jr.'s own crew, including Lil Cam. Whack said that crew was running a rigged dice table where the house always wins, unless someone messes up. And Duke, he made that mistake. He started winning dice he wasn't supposed to win. And just like that, the setup fell apart. Whack broke it down. When you interfere with a crooked system built on ego, power, and money, somebody's got to pay the price. And that night, Duke paid with his life. But Whack wasn't alone. Charleston White came out swinging too. He said Duke's death hit different. Not just cause Duke had real talent, but because it should have never happened.
Prince, over the years, the decades of doing whatever he's doing, he's been having a way of brainwashing people.
Oh, yeah?
To thinking he's doing one thing when he really up to a next.
Charleston put it out there. Mob ties helped build a dangerous scene in Houston that don't protect artists. It targets them. He called it for what it is, a toxic environment where checking in don't keep you safe. It just paints a target on your back. This whole check-in system, it's not just shady, it's deadly. Artists pull up thinking they'll be protected, but instead, they walk straight into high-stakes games surrounded by wolves in disguise. Charleston White said it clear. Duke didn't get disrespected, he got played. Checked in with the wrong crew and paid the price for being naive, not reckless. And Charleston didn't let the industry off the hook. He torched it. He called the whole thing what it really is. Not protection, but extortion. A twisted game where silence equals survival. He said, most rappers are too scared to even whisper. To him, Duke's death wasn't random. It was calculated. It was ritual. But now, that silence is cracking wide open. Even 50 Cent added some mystery fuel to the fire. He didn't say much, but what he did post, enough to make fans lean in, cryptic clips, shady captions, and just enough breadcrumbs to make it clear. He's not siding with mob ties. He's quietly standing behind Boozie. Then came the finesse 2x situation, and that sent the whole drama spiraling into chaos. Word on the street, J. Prince Jr. allegedly got Finesse's girl pregnant behind his back, and FNG No Love wasn't quiet about it either. He came out loud with those accusations. And J. Prince Jr., he said nothing.
Industry, these street homie, they're projecting these rules and then coming here playing like they admirable men with street rules and street exit. Nah, homie, them little was set up that night.
Didn't deny it, didn't clear it up, just left the rumors floating. And that silence, It was deafening. Finesse, who used to praise mob ties like family, now don't even mention them. He went cold, ghosted them. Loyalty, gone. Just tension and awkward energy left behind. And fans are putting it all together. Duke's murder, Takeoff's tragedy, Boosie's public blast, Finesse's fallout, and one name keeps showing up in every single headline: J. Prince Jr. The internet is on fire right now. Cause that silence everyone clung to, it's cracking wide open, the fear that used to keep folks quiet, it's fading. And the empire that was built on intimidation, it's starting to crumble right in front of us. People online are calling names with no hesitation. One user straight up posted, J. Prince has set up so many people and had several knocked off. Another said it plain, J. Prince took him out, not Boozie. But let's not forget who Duke the Jeweler really was. He wasn't just some flashy guy with diamonds. He was a self-made legend from Chicago. No label backing, no celebrity handout, just raw hustle and big dreams. Duke started out in the early 2000s, sketching custom jewelry in a tiny studio, building piece by piece. And before long, his one-of-a-kind creations were getting picked up by Vogue, Elle, and big names like Rihanna, King Von, 50 Cent, and even Boozie himself. But Duke's style wasn't just about shine, it was about legacy. That's what made him dangerous in this game. His value was going up fast, and in an industry where power don't like independence, somebody always gets uncomfortable. Duke didn't just show up at the wrong place. He walked into a lion's den draped in gold, trusted the wrong crew, and shook hands with the wrong people. That room, a high-stakes dice game reportedly hosted by J. Prince Jr. Sources say Duke cleaned house that night, walked away with over $100,000 in winnings, and that might have been the moment everything changed. Because right after that, he was ambushed, robbed, stripped of his ice, his cash, his phone, and then shot multiple times. Not once, multiple times. Like somebody didn't just want to rob him, they wanted him gone. And to this day, the industry hasn't healed. Because Duke's death, that one hit different. This wasn't no random robbery. It was a straight-up execution. Duke's death felt personal, cold, and strategic. And now, Boosie's out here trying to clear his name once and for all, letting folks know he had nothing to do with it.
Eric Jr. was the father, and after your mom did her due diligence, what was your thought?
I think that this girl that had the baby, I think she used to work around Junior. So I believe bro bumped into her around Junior, you know what I'm saying?
When that footage dropped showing Boozie reacting to Duke's death, the man looked shattered. He could barely speak, like he was genuinely caught off guard. And maybe, just maybe, he really was. But here comes J. Prince Sr., throwing shade and firing shots, trying to flip the narrative. Boosie's calling out mob ties, saying plain, y'all tried to line me up. But instead of answering, J. Prince Sr. is out here deflecting, calling Whack 100 a clown for backing Boosie's version. But the streets? They ain't buying none of that noise. Why? Because Takeoff got gunned down in the same city, and the coroner's report said he got hit in the head and torso multiple times. That don't sound like a random bullet gone wrong. That sounds like it was planned. Now J. Prince Sr. is out here attacking Whack, calling him loud, saying he's chasing clout. But people see through it. This ain't just beef between names. It's about a whole system. A system built on fear, silence, and fake protection. It's about how artists have to check in just to move through a city that ain't theirs. How power plays keep everyone quiet. And how real ones like Duke, who came up from nothing, still ain't safe, even after earning their spot. Duke's death didn't just hurt the jewelry game. It exposed something dark underneath the surface. Boozie says he was just the bait. Finesse 2 times backed away. Takeoff checked in and still got killed.
Walking to his car or something, some dude tried to rob him. Some dudes tried to rob him. I had just met dude yesterday. We was in a garage. He must have walked outside to the parking lot. We was in a garage. We heard this.
Now J. Prince Sr. is scrambling, trying to contain the fallout. But if this is just the beginning, Who's the next one to speak up or vanish without warning? The silence ain't working no more, and the walls are closing in fast. More voices are stepping up, more stories are surfacing, and more people are connecting the dots. This ain't just a coincidence, it's a pattern. And that pattern, it's pointing right back to J. Prince Jr. and the whole Mob Ties circle. Insiders are starting to talk. Not bloggers, not fans, industry folks. People who've been in those rooms. Word is, a lot of rappers were forced to check in not for safety, but for control. You step out of line, you lose your chain, or worse, your life. And now people are asking the real questions. Why are all these artists checking in and still ending up dead? Why is it always the same names tied to these tragedies? Why is J. Prince Jr. always around, but never touched? Some say it's because the whole operation has been running unchecked for too long. When power turns into fear and protection becomes pressure, that's when it all starts to rot from the inside. And now, folks are realizing the illusion is cracking. Boosie's not the only one calling it out anymore. Even quiet artists are whispering behind the scenes. There's unease, tension, and a fear that speaking out could make them the next headline. Duke's death, Takeoff's murder, Finesse falling out, the dice game setups. It's all coming together like puzzle pieces soaked in blood and betrayal. And while J. Prince Sr. and Jr. keep trying to brush it off, the street ain't sleeping no more. Too many bodies, too many secrets, too much silence. And now the world's watching, waiting, wondering who else is gonna speak up before it's too late. And who's already being watched for trying. Behind the cameras, the dice games, and the luxury chains, there's a darker reality that's been hiding in plain sight. And now, the illusion is falling apart, piece by piece. Boosie cracking the silence was the first blow. But now, folks close to the scene are hinting that the FBI might already be circling. Investigations are rumored to be underway. Not just into Duke's murder, but the entire Mob Ties structure.
Like, I love the hip-hop culture. I'm in love with the hip-hop culture. Blood, sweat, and tears went in my movement for the hip-hop culture.
The word is that authorities have been watching for months, possibly even years. They've seen the patterns, the public events, the random shootings, the silent tension that always follows a tragedy. Boosie's call-out might have just pushed the whole thing into motion. Sources claim even some insiders are cooperating quietly. People who once pledged loyalty now looking for a way out. When money dries up and the bodies keep dropping, loyalty fades fast. J. Prince Jr. might have run Houston for a minute. But now the streets are talking and the feds are listening. And the irony? It was never just about Duke or Takeoff. This has become bigger. It's about the whole culture of silence that's been poisoning the industry. Artists forced to pay homage just to step foot in certain cities, scared to refuse, scared to speak. But that fear? It's fading. The internet's louder, the fans are bolder, and the old rules, they're collapsing. What started as a dice game gone wrong now feels like a domino effect. One scandal tipping into the next. The walls are shaking, and no one knows who's gonna fall next. Mob Ties might have built their name on power, but now that name is echoing in the wrong rooms. Rooms filled with agents, rooms with subpoenas, rooms where silence can't protect you anymore. The game's shifting fast, and Mob Ties is no longer untouchable. The myth of invincibility is cracking under pressure, and J. Prince Jr.'s empire? It's starting to feel real shaky. Boosie's outburst didn't just light a spark, it set off a chain reaction. Now other voices that used to stay quiet are inching toward the edge. Whispers are turning into conversations. Folks who once smiled in photos with Mob Ties are unfollowing, distancing, deleting captions, and moving real quiet. That loyalty, it's turning cold. Even within Houston, things feel different. Promoters who used to proudly scream Mob Ties are now saying nothing. Rappers are switching up their travel teams. Security's getting tighter. People are watching their back because they don't know who's gonna talk next or who's being watched. And that silence from J. Prince Jr., it's starting to feel louder than any statement. He hasn't addressed the Boozie accusations. He hasn't denied the finesse rumors. He hasn't even spoken on Duke's death or Takeoff's case. And that's got everyone thinking, why not? If you had nothing to hide, wouldn't you be screaming your truth? But instead, he's letting the smoke build. And that smoke, it's turning into a storm. Because when legends like Duke and Takeoff fall, the people don't forget. Their deaths didn't just leave pain. They left questions. Unanswered, ugly questions that keep resurfacing, dragging J. Prince Jr.'s name right back into the spotlight every time. And now, it's feeling like a countdown. How long can silence hold? How long before someone breaks? Publicly, legally, permanently? How long before mob ties becomes less of a name and more of a case file? The streets are watching, the feds are circling, and the truth, it's getting louder by the second.